Hello again, Darren here. Yeah, change of pace, change of location. And today, yeah, a quick video about some of the British Indian alternative acts that have slipped through the net a little. Yeah, I'm looking specifically at UK acts here, 10 of them, in fact, who were all plying their trade at a time when scenes were rising and falling, being talked up and then trashed in the space of sometimes months. Yeah, a feature of the UK music climate of the late 80s through to the mid 90s was the power of the music press, to set the agenda, to create a buzz, to build them up and to knock them down. Shoegaze, Britpop, Grebo, Goth, Crusty, Fraggle Pop, New Wave of New Wave. There are others I've probably forgotten. Yeah, anyway, 10 acts who defied easy categorization, I think, into one or other of these little boxes of the time. All from the noisier end of the musical spectrum, and who also I don't think get much retrospective kudos these days. Just a quick word about what I mean by categorizing here. This idea came out of my Stereolab video from about a month or so back, where I highlighted the roster of 2 Pure records. This reminded me of a handful of other buzz labels of the same period. Yeah, I'm talking things like Ouija, Clawfist, Eve Recordings, Sherry, smaller indie labels with, an attitude. Probably worth mentioning also here that there were some phenomenally successful indie acts of this period from, I guess, about 88 to 94, 95, who were equally kind of genre-less, I guess you'd say, but I won't be covering here. Yeah, Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine for one. Yeah, a big following, Top of the Pops appearances, very popular. Kind of like a mashup of The Clash and the Pet Shop Boys with a bit of Sleaford mods thrown in if you're looking for a more contemporary comparison. Yeah, none of that Midlander contingent, so Pop Will Eat Itself, Wonder Stuff, Ned's Atomic Dustbin, and nothing from that kind of hangover jangle of the 80s. So, I'm talking here everything from the Sundays to the Lars. Now, I'm going a bit more raucous, a bit noisier, a bit more difficult here. First up, Silverfish. They took a lead maybe, I think, from the noisier, more kind of fractious elements of the US post-hardcore bands like, Scratch Acid, Killdozer, the Butthole Surfers maybe. Chaotic, unpredictable live shows, abrasive, guttural guitar, bass, drums, noise. A bit of a birthday party influence in there, I think. And they were one of the best female-fronted noise acts of the day with, Leslie Rankin taking it, pushing it squarely into people's faces, straight from the off with relish. Yeah, hips, tits, lips, power was the standout lyric and the t-shirt slogan of, I think, what was quite a short run for them in the spotlight. Yeah, that lyric taken from Big Bad Baby Pig Squeal. Yeah, probably a little too kind of formless and difficult for the grunge fans maybe, but probably the most high profile of that, short-lived Camden lurch scene. A really genuinely stupid attempt at a genre-free genre based purely on, whoever happened to be playing that night in Camden at the venues frequented by Steve Lamacq. Anyway, here's Cockeye, which is a kind of a compilation of their early releases. Yeah, it's a really good starting point. It's got Dolly Parton and On the Motorway on it. Yeah, Silverfish. Yeah, second up, I've got The Faith Healers, 2 pure recording artists and a much noisier, kind of punkier spin, I think, on some of shoegaze's ideas, but completely, obliterated by this very hyper live presentation they had, and a strong focus on, krautrock rhythms and repetition. A cover of Can's Mother Sky often made an appearance at live shows. Yeah, Joe Dilworth, the band's drummer, did double time in Stereolab for a short while. And Tom Cullen, and the band's guitarist and songwriter, went on to form the, I guess you call them similarly polarizing Quickspace in the latter half of the 1990s. And like Silverfish, another great female vocalist in the shape of Roxanne Stephen. Yeah, Roxanne brought some sorely missed headbanging to their live show, right to the fore. Something that I think was wholly absent from the live shows of their shoegaze contemporaries. Yeah, here's one of my favourite EPs of theirs. This is Mr. Litnansky is the EP on 2 Pure records. Yeah, couple of my favourite tracks of theirs on here. You get Moona in a Juna and Reptile Smile. Third up, I've got Gallon Drunk, these sleazy, dark, bluesy atmospheres colliding with, yet more birthday party style chaos and psychodrama. Earlier shows were characterized by guitarist James Johnston's simultaneous kind of shrieking stabs at a vintage organ. Yeah, very cool, very dense, very percussive kind of rock and roll deconstructions. Pretty at odds, I think, with the musical moods of that time. It's very jabbering, psychotic take On the much more kind of melodic, ultimately more successful probably, Tindersticks sound, who were also there or thereabouts at the same time. Johnston has gone on to stints in the Bad Seeds and in PJ Harvey's backing band, where he was also joined by fellow Gallon Drunk member Terry Edwards on sax. Yeah, a pretty long on and off recording career, to be fair to them, but it's the early singles and 12 inches which are my go-tos. I've got a couple here. This is the Last Gasp, one of their first singles, and this is probably their best early song. This is Some Fool's Mess. Both those EPs coming out on the Clawfist label. Yeah, fourth up, and also releasing on Clawfist, I've got Breed. Just mentioning them quickly, yeah, I think they shared a little bit of the same DNA and influences as Gallon Drunk, but definitely a bit more sedate and a bit more melodic, a bit more song-focused. Yeah, they had a couple of albums, a bunch of Peel sessions, and a string of singles. Here's one of them. This is Shaking the Bone in Eventime, a pretty cool single from 1992. Yeah, more kind of smoky, bluesy atmospherics, definitely channeling a little bit of Nick Cave, but the band ended up knocking it on the head in 1996. Yeah, singer-songwriter and the band's namesake, Simon Breed, did go on to do some solo stuff, and drummer Steve Hewitt did some time behind the drums for Placebo. And that's Breed. Quick mention here, by the way, while I've got Peel sessions in my head, do check out the description for a link below to Dave Strickson's Peel session archive. He's basically archived every available Peel session that he can find on YouTube into one handy kind of single website. Yeah, it's a great resource, lots of stuff on there, and yeah, Breed's Peel session is up there if you want to give that a listen. Fifth up, I've got Milk. That's the UK band Milk, not the US one, of pretty much exactly the same vintage. Formed in Norwich in the mid-80s, following a move to London, they lost their singer, reconsolidated as a three-piece, and completely changed style into a kind of a grungier, rockier, much mathier outfit. Yeah, another Camden Lurch band. Ouch, every time. Yeah, they released a few EPs and a couple of albums on Eve Recordings. Yeah, I've got nothing physical here from Milk, but the Tantrum LP was always a solid John Peel favourite from around about 1991. Yeah, Milk were a regular Swerve Driver support on a lot of their early tours. Yeah, as the band dissolved, bass player Duncan Brown went on to play bass in Stereolab. He replaced Martin Keane there. And singer and guitarist Vic Kimlich went on to form Skyscraper with Addy of Swerve Driver. Yeah, and Milk, for me, they fit that Swerve Driver template a little bit too well, really. You know, not enough shoegaze, not enough grunge, a bit between and betwixt. It really works for some people, not so much for others. Sixth up, I've got Sun Carriage. Yeah, more people from Camden Town, although originally they did hail from Plymouth. Yeah, they recorded pretty much all this stuff, as far as I'm aware, on Ouija Records. This is their A Kiss to Tell EP from 1991. And during their short career, they did tour supports for bands like Loop, Therapy, and Spaceman 3. Yeah, Sun Carriage are definitely the sludgiest of the UK grunge-adjacent bands of that period, at least to my ears. There's definite hints of that, you know, Melvin's Torpor. But I also hear a dash of that desert kind of stoner rock vibe that came to be a thing in subsequent years. Yeah, I still kind of like this one, but there's not a whole lot more out there from Sun Carriage. One more EP, a few compilation appearances, but they never got around to recording a full-length album. And at 7, straight out of Bury St Edmunds, I've got Jacob's Mouse. Yeah, very odd, angular, awkward trio with a kind of a grunge metal pedigree. With twin brothers on guitar and bass and a singing drummer. Genuinely quite an odd band, but they still rocked very, very hard. Yeah, no huge physicals right now, apart from this kind of 7-inch split they did, which I believe came out with the Blaze fanzine sometime in the early 90s. But their debut album, the wonderfully titled No Fish Shop Parking, still sounds like genius to me. Yeah, a great live band. I saw them a few times, most memorably supporting Nirvana and L7 in a club in November of 1990. And a bit of trivia, yeah, they were selected as the J entry in the official A to Z of John Peel's record collection, which I think is, you know, a proper honour. At 8, I've got Fudge Tunnel. A band definitely stuck somewhere between, you know, grungy, noisy rock and, you know, full-on metal. I suppose alternative metal did eventually become some kind of description, some kind of genre, and that fits them pretty well, I think. Yeah, I've got and enjoyed their earliest releases here. Yeah, this is the Sweet Sound of Excess EP and their debut album, Hate Songs in E minor. A properly heavy band, but you know, avoiding those kind of weirdly metal excesses, just in favor of huge monolithic riffing. Yeah, being a bit kind of tweener, they supported everyone from Godflesh to, you know, Fugazi over the years. So if you like it heavy and you fall somewhere, you know, in that huge pair of brackets, then yeah, go for it. At 9, I've got Terminal Cheesecake. Yeah, amazing name for these Ouija Records sponsored noise nicks. In fact, they were the first band to ever release on the Ouija label. Again, nothing physical I can lay my hands on at the moment. I'm sure I had a copy of VCL at some point, but I think Angels and Pigtails is generally considered to be their kind of their critical, you know, audience high point. Pretty strong influence of that, you know, kind of acid, fried, Midwestern, you know, pig fuck, post-hardcore noise rock of bands like the Butthole Surface here. And a definite kinship, I think, with, you know, the scuzzier end of the AmRep back catalogue, you know, bands like Cows and God Bullies. Psychedelic, dubby, druggy, trancey, noise rock, you know, heavy on samples and just madness, really. Yeah, other reference points might be, you know, Chrome or Loop or maybe some of Throbbing Gristle's back catalogue. A bit out there, but you might be too, I guess. In which case, yeah, tuck into some Terminal Cheesecake. And a 10th on this list, dialing back the noise elements a little bit, I think, I've got the Mute Drivers. Finally on this list, the Mute Drivers are basically the Carter USM, who never, you know, broke through. You know, the parallels are everywhere. Two guys, that's Dave Rogers and Steve Wright, and a drum machine, doing socially conscious, kind of punkish, angry, but melodic, you know, indie pop songs at the tail end of the 1980s. But the Mute Drivers never really hit, despite getting, you know, a bit of a promotional push via Snub TV. They appeared on that show a few times, and a late in the day signing to One Little Indian Records for their last album. That was Everyone. Yeah, personally, I loved them, and yes, they did in fact drive a van for Mute Records. Yeah, their double album, Waiting for World War III, is a long-time favourite of mine. It's got some great tracks on it. Frustration, What Me Worry, Burning, Burning. Yeah, this is proper cult stuff. And there you go, 10 alternative acts from the UK of the late 80s, early 90s, who I think slipped between the cracks somewhat because they didn't really fit nicely within the genre boundaries of the day. Yeah, some obscure ones in there probably, but if I don't talk about them, who's going to? You know, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, a lighter one today after a bit of a punishing, heavy filming schedule. I hope you've enjoyed this video too. Yeah, please add your comments below if you want to talk about anything, and if you've liked it, yeah, please add your likes and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And in the meantime, yeah, take care. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.